Good day, good people. I'm Dr. Johnny Pierce, and this is Actually Well Podcast. Remember, you can just call me Johnny. And today, we're entering new territory. I have my first guest, and she is
Supreet.
So Supreet and I know each other because we had a mutual friend introduce us a couple years ago, and it's been a great friendship ever since. But I don't just have her here because she's my friend. I also have her here because she is awesome. She's doing all kinds of amazing things. And Supreet, if you don't mind, share with the audience who, what, where, and how you're doing all the amazing things you're doing.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Johnny. This is so amazing. So excited to be here. I'm a podcaster. My podcast is called Sherni Vision Podcast.
Go subscribe.
Yes, thank you. We interview Sikh Punjabis in our community that are doing just amazing things that need to be amplified and brought into the universe and shared.
Okay. So for those who aren't familiar, what does it mean to be Sikh?
Sikh, yes. So Sikh is the 5th largest religion.
Oh, really?
Yes, and we are, we believe in one God.
Okay.
Typically when you see a turban wearing Sikh, that's usually our identity is wearing a turban. Sikhism is a religion I've been following for my whole life. I was born into Sikhism.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what, if any, kind of traditional practices are there associated with it?
Sikhism, we are, I want to say it's very spiritual. Okay. It's more, I don't like to compare religions, but we're like Baha'i, Buddhism, and where I practice Sikhi is very much more spiritual.
Okay.
So Sikhi, we believe in one God. We don't worship any idols or pictures. We believe in sovereignty, self-sovereignty.
Okay. So, Nice. Now, I don't know if you knew this, but even though I am Christian, I also am somewhat knowledgeable about Buddhism. And one of the things that appeals to me is that Buddha never tried to be a deity. I don't think that's how he saw himself. And he also kind of gave it this kind of open-ended approach where I am giving you some ideas that I have about how to be well, funny enough, and, go see if it works for you. And if it doesn't, go find your own way. And I think in the first podcast I did, I highlighted how this podcast's aim is not to have like the ultimate authority on wellness. Like, I am not going to be able to prescribe wellness to people. I am more like Buddha in that way and less like Jesus, because Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the light, and that's it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not that. I'm not that. But, the J names, I'm rocking with them. But that said, I wanted to bring you on the pod because, one, it's always nice to talk to people who I know I can have a fun conversation with. And two, May is Women's Mental Health Month. And I want to celebrate ladies and your stories. And there are so many of you out in the world right now doing amazing things as far as, what you're involved with your jobs, what you're involved with in your communities, what you're involved with in your families, doing so many different things. And while I know there are platforms for people to share their stories, I'm hoping that I can be one as well. And I got a chance to visit something that you just did recently over the weekend, an art event. Where did that come from?
Yes, the art exhibit. Thank you for coming, by the way. I so appreciate it. It comes from creating space, intentional space.
Okay.
Going back to religion and spirituality, I think we don't have a third space where we can connect and be open about speaking and be comfortable. So that was the intention. And April is our Sikh Heritage Month. So celebrating Sikhi and also celebrating, recognizing the genocide happening in 1984.
Wow.
So Ravjot, who is a content creator in New York, she sent her piece. We had local artists in between as well. Ramin, who works for Fairfax County. So the whole point of the art exhibit was to create this space where we can continue talking about mental health, creative adventures, network, collaborate. And that's what really Sherni Vision Podcast is continue doing the seva, the work, basically, that God has put in me to do, and continue doing that.
I love the way you said that, because I feel similar about what I'm doing as a career. I don't feel like this was something that I had to go to school for. I mean, obviously I had to get the degree so people actually let me do it. But all my life. People would come to me and talk to me about things, and it was pretty easy for me to listen to them.
Mm.
I did find myself, prior to getting properly trained, wanting to fix things and manage things and like give them very firm ideas about you should do this. I was a prescriber at that time. It's a little bit of a knower. I advertise. I'm aiming to be a forever learner. I am not the knower. I have some ideas. That is all. See how they work for you. If they don't work, let's brainstorm together. But at that time, it was just natural for people to talk with me and me to think about their situations from multiple perspectives and come up with like, okay, well, if you say this is your goal, then I would not do this. And it's like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. So it definitely feels somewhat divine to be able to sit with people when they're having a hard time, when they're having a great time, and everything in between, and talk about how do we get where you want to go, and then how do we build on the success that you've had? Because regardless of where a client meets me, they've already had a lot of success.
That's so true, and I love what you mentioned. And that actually, when Sikhism, when you translate it, it means forever learner.
How about that?
So
that's amazing.
I've always considered myself a forever learner. I was like, I'm never not going to be learning. I'm always trying to achieve another career goal or another degree, another license. And that being said, like, yeah, I'm a doula. I'm also, master esthetician instructor as well. And it all comes together because women's taking care of women, and taking care of them from literally from the beginning stages to, elderly, all the different phases a female goes through, whether it's getting confident in her body, and then changing with hormones and menopause and pregnancy, whatever life may throw out female. So just being able to create that space for females has been like my ongoing journey.
Okay. Now, you do a lot of amazing stuff on the wellness side, but this art event wasn't your first foray into creativity. You DJ, didn't you?
DJ, MC, a little bit of fun stuff, yeah.
And where did that come from?
You know what? It's about, again, like Punjabis are known to be loud and ruckus, and we love to party, and that's where it comes from. Low key in high school, I was the hype girl of our dance team.
Oh, okay.
So I did Gidda, our traditional Punjabi dance.
Okay.
And so that's a lot of clapping, a lot of mouth blowing, like I'm constantly in the back pumping up everyone.
Okay.
So that comes from my dancing background.
Huh. How about that? All right.
Yes.
Now, I didn't get a chance to make it to the DJing event because schedules didn't line up, but I'm really glad I got to make it to the art event. And you were kind enough to introduce me to some new folks that may appear on the podcast. And I'm really excited about the work that they were doing. The art exhibit was absolutely stunning. The pictures from it, I've got some I may share that are just like, it's not just someone's creativity coming out. It's culture, it's vision, it's community. And what I sensed from the little bit of time that I got to be there was that that's what everybody was there for. Everybody was there to talk about the stories. Everybody was there to talk about the community, the connectedness, and I would say the wellness of it all. When you think about your experience as a woman, as a mom, whatever identities you want to highlight, what's your journey been like?
Thank you. My journey has been very interesting. I grew up in a Khalistani family, and that can be very triggering.
Okay.
To a lot because we're labeled as a terrorist group.
Oh, wow.
So that being said, it was a different notion going up. Strong-willed. Chardi Kala means high spirits.
Okay.
And then I went through my own discovery time of who I am. Does this align with me? Does Sikhi align with me? Growing up vegetarian, not able to cut my hair, certain aspects of Sikhi, I was like, why is this me? This and that. Long story short, when I started cosmetology school, my parents totally shunned that. And they did not like it, but it was me discovering myself, my creativity. I did a lot of fashion shows, hair shows, connected with a lot of creatives at the time as well. But at the back of my head, I was always, that isn't me. And that's when I found medical aesthetics. So I did a lot of lasers, body contouring, facials, and things like that. But the purpose was, it's not a floofy facial. You know, you're not coming here and I'm relaxing you. It's, how can I help you achieve a goal that helps you feel confident? You know, I deal with teenagers that have pimples that, you know, are trying to feel comfortable in school, to young adults that haven't been able to take care of certain facial issues, and now they're going into the working force and they want to have that confidence, you know. Dealing with men and female, like body comfort, and learning what they feel confident in their body, you know, and making space for that, and continue making that space. When I had my med spa, I realized that I'm not only making space for them to feel comfortable in their body, but they're also literally and figuratively like getting naked with me. You know, like they tell me stuff that I'm like, oh my God, I need to go process this now.
Well, I kind of expected that. And that's part of the reason why I was excited to have you on as well, because I know that we aren't the gatekeepers for people's souls. Like, people aren't just coming to therapy and bearing their souls to us and talking about the things that are going on. People are talking to their hairdressers. People are talking to their wax person. They're talking to whomever might be available, and they sit with for a time. And that time is precious to just sit with that person and be with them. Obviously, you know, you're doing whatever you came to do as far as the job, but you're also there with them as a person. And, you know, having talked with you and known you for a few years, you're not just there with them like, all right, I'm just waiting for this time to pass. Like, you can feel the energy coming off of that person, and you tend to be really skilled at being able to ask them like, hey, how can I be here with you right now?
Yes, I'm an empath. And that's hence why I leave a 30-minute gap after my appointments, just so I could sit down with them, make sure they're taken care of, sent off well, had a tea, whatever they want. And creating that community was so precious to me. When Corona happened, it was very much a pivotal point for me, because my marriage was also crumbling. Business was like, what do I do? Do I want to be here? I had just dabbled into podcasting. And at the time, the podcast was just about skincare. It was me talking about skincare to my Punjabi community in Punjabi. And then when Corona happened, thinking back, it was Black Lives Matter was happening.
The country was blowing up.
Farmers protesting was happening at home. It was like everything was happening. And I'm like here, like, I'm stuck. Like, what can I do as an advocate, as a person that's always been a freedom fighter, and now I'm stuck home and cannot do anything. That being said, I pivoted my podcast real quick, and I was like, I want to serve my community. That's where I'm going. My next journey, that's my next chapter, is serving my community. So I changed my podcast, and I was working with someone, a coach at a time. We figured out the name. Sherni Vision came because Sherni means lioness. And that's our our last name that our God gurus gave us. So Kaur, you'll see Singh and Kaur. And they mean lion, lioness. Men will use Singh, females will use Kaur. And so hence Sherni Vision came to play. So, and I go off of my grandma. My grandma was the lioness in the family. And yeah, I started interviewing. Like off the bat, I was just so mind blown about the community just being open about speaking about their journey. And I am one of the only platforms that actually amplifies the Sikh Punjabi journeys in Northern Virginia.
Wow.
So that being said, I had even like, she was a burlesque dancer in UK talking about her Sikh journey, you know, Suki. And, you know, I had also Jandeep, who's sharing about her journey into motherhood and things like that. So different perspectives and just being vulnerable.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too much of a change from being in an office doing skincare
Right.
to being in a podcast and having the same kind of conversations.
Right.
It wasn't much of a change. And just continue doing that. It filled my heart with so much joy.
I was actually checking out one of your podcasts recently. It was with a woman who opened a school. And like listening to her talk about how her father had kind of shaped her with this love, like, I see this in you. You have this gift, you have this talent, him setting up the garage so she could actually like have like a pseudo daycare going on, which was impressive. So it's beautiful when you give people a space to be able to share about themselves and what they've gone through, how they've overcome. Just hearing about how your podcast got its direction. Started this way, it evolved. This is what I ultimately have planned to do with it, and this is what I'm doing now. That's just a beautiful journey that you've been on.
Thank you.
Of course. So before we wrap up our time together, I wanted to know if there's anything about motherhood in particular, because May is also the month in which Mother's Day is celebrated. And I've had a chance to kick it with your kiddos. They are cool. They've met my kiddos. And I actually got the joke with the girls when I called them on Saturday, like, yeah, her kids remembered you, but they didn't remember me at all. And my oldest, of course, is like, well, of course they didn't remember you. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the point. I'm trying to be dad in the background. Like, I want to be in the forefront with my girls, but in the background, whenever they go out, I want them to shine. But, how has motherhood shaped you in any way? What do you find yourself really emphasizing with your children?
I love that. Thank you. Motherhood, I honestly, it definitely shaped me who I am. Never thought it would shape me the way it did.
Yeah.
Himmat Singh, which Himmat translates to courage. When he was born, or when I was pregnant with him, that's when I really started my cannabis and plant-based journey.
Okay.
I was born with shoulder dystocia.
Oh, no.
So I can't move my arm up, back, and stuff. So I just did not want to go to a doctor to give birth.
Yeah.
I'm healthy, everything's fine. So I didn't see the need of going to a doctor per se. So I had a doula, midwife, had a natural birth.
Did you have a home birth?
Naseeb was a home birth. Himmat was a water birth.
Water births are intense.
Yes. I felt so connected with him. At one point I was screaming, and my midwife literally just tapped my shoulder, and she's like, you need to calm yourself down because you're putting your body in a fear and flight stage.
Yeah.
And as soon as I realized I was doing that, I calmed myself down. And all I remember, like, if you've ever been high, like, you would know the connection you have with the Almighty and the universe. And it's just a whole different experience.
Right.
And this is why I also advocate for females to, this is a beautiful journey. And if you can experience it, you should be able to just experience it, medical induced, anyways, side story. But when he was born, it was a beautiful journey. And
I get where you're going with that, because we had a home birth with Indigo. And we went through these classes for breathing. They were different. They weren't just Lamaze classes. We went through stuff with professionals who also kept in mind the person. And that's nothing against the medical field per se, but oftentimes people come out of those experiences and they feel like they just weren't seen.
Yes.
And we had multiple people working with us. They did the best they could to prepare us for what might be coming our way. So as we got to different stages, she get more and more dilated, traction's getting closer. How can I, as the dad who's not feeling the experience, how can I be supportive? What can she tell herself as she's going through the process? And I don't know if an epidural gives you any sense of connectedness, like you're numb to the situation to a certain degree. And while that may be relief, in the form of the pain being subsided, maybe this is supposed to be a little painful. Maybe there's supposed to be some discomfort, because this is hard. And it's going to be hard every day after this too, in its own different way. And if you're kind of numbing yourself to it at the very beginning, what are you going to do as the time goes on?
I feel like you should be totally in tune with your body, no matter what. We all go through pains and difficulties.
It's informative.
Yeah, and when you don't, and I think about that feeling, and I think about even with when my daughter was born, accidentally at home, She just came way too fast.
She's like, hey, I'm here. I'm not going nowhere.
Literally, that's what I tell her. I was like, you're my tourist bull. Was like, I'm here. I'm out.
I have arrived.
Yes. Yeah, and I totally believe that, being in tune with your kids and really understanding who they are. You know, we're just chaperones for them. We're just their guides here.
Right.
And you can't, you know, as a second or first generation here, you know, we can't, like our parents wanted you be a doctor, you be an engineer, you have to do this, you have to do that. But you also have to understand, how are they learning? How are they adopting into this universe, this world? My parents didn't realize I had learning disabilities. You know, they didn't know I had, you know, I can't, dyslexia. Can't even say that right now.
I remember when you told me that the first time. You're like, I can't say the word, but you know what the word is. Dyslexia.
And so I'm like, if you would have at least caught that on at an early age, maybe
I could have got support.
Yes. Yeah. And I could have been a little bit more confident and be able to guide myself or whatever it may be. And here, just, I look from afar from them, and I sort of practice distance, or what is the word? Not distant parenting. I'm using the wrong word. But just a little bit, not too attached. And even in Sikhi, you know, even any attachment can be toxic at some point, you know? And mothers do have that toxic bond with their sons, definitely. So
you mean your little man?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
As a single mom, I think that's so, like, you know,
gotta be careful.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's why also when I separated, therapy was the first thing. You know, everybody was looking at me crazy, and especially in my community, they're like, "Are they okay? Why are they going to therapy?" And I'm like, "We're healthy. We're totally fine. We're like," and they just can't grasp that idea that is just processing your thoughts, you know?
Yeah, it's a space. It's a space, and, you know, depending on who you work with, some people are more problem oriented, so they talk about things through that frame. Part of the reason why I was excited to start this podcast is because I think we need to lead with wellness. I think we need to start there. Start with the concept that people can be well, people are doing their best to be well, that even these things you mentioned, pain is informative. It's a feeling. It's not good. It's not bad. It's there to give us some knowledge about what's going on with us and get us to attend. You talked about going through these life transitions. So going from being married to being separated to being divorced, and then life after that. All of that is something that comes up in life for some folks. I mean, I happen to be divorced as well. I happen to have my children sometimes, and sometimes they're not with me. And just how do I help this little person who has less development than I do deal with this circumstance that they had no part in? They didn't ask for this circumstance, and yet some decisions were made by the adults, and now they're here. How do I help them through that? So I'm thankful that you were able to expose your children to therapy and give them that space if they needed it. And, you know, I think I've mentioned on my pod before that my oldest is in therapy because we think it's very useful and helpful to her, and it's helped me be a better parent.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like we actually have therapy on Wednesdays, all three of us.
Okay.
And I feel like Wednesdays are like
the
bliss day. Like, we are just on cloud nine, like everybody's feeling it. But I will say, you know, sometimes it can be the opposite. You know, we just let out a lot of feelings or just process
and
a lot.
Everybody need to go to their corners.
Yeah, and we're just like, in our rooms, reading our books or whatever, and just let it process. But that's the thing, you have to allow these spaces, allow the moment to settle, allow it to process.
Right.
You know, we journal with our kids, and mental health is just so important to me, and they see that. And you have to not only what you're preaching, you have to practice in front of them too. And
it helps.
It
really helps.
You just can't tell them and not do it yourself.
Modeling
they see mom, they see mom going to yoga, they see mom working, they see mom going to therapy, they see mom doing everything.
Right.
But then they also see mom putting down the phone at 4:00 and it's kids mode.
Shut it down.
No phone, no calls, no nothing. I'm focused, I'm with you. And I'll get shit from everybody else, like, oh, you're not picking up your phone, but it's about time and space.
Exactly. I have priorities.
And my own mental health, like as creatives, we literally have no off button. You know?
It's kind of hard. You see stuff, you think about things. It's a thing.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I need my also time to like relax. So mental health for me is just a big aspect of my life.
Well, you have improved my mental health through the time that I've known you, and you coming in and being the first person I get to interview on the podcast. I'm so excited about what this is going to look like when it's done. I thank you for coming. Is there anything that you want to like make people aware of? Obviously, we're going to pump your pod as much as possible. Like, hey, subscribe, like the same click, like, share, and subscribe that I do for mine. I want you doing the same for Supreet's. If you aren't in that community, don't feel like you can't be informed. Don't feel like you can't be an advocate. You can't be an ally. I know that there are plenty of people that I know from various backgrounds that I have no direct connection to besides that one friend, but I try to learn what I can. And I'm constantly trying to learn more because why not? Why not be more knowledgeable about the world around you, the people you may walk by, the people you may share office space with, schools with for your kids, wherever you might go. Like, we live together. We share this planet together. I saw a really cool post earlier today on Instagram that I was like, oh, I'm definitely sharing this, because a guy who's literally in deep space right now was saying that because of his vantage point, he's seeing the earth in its wholeness and how we're all just together on this planet. I'm like, yes. Yes, we need to remember that part. There's been a lot of division for a lot of different reasons, and everybody's gone into their little camp. And yes, there's nothing wrong with having pride in your community and connectedness to your community. We also are connected to one another because our communities are all connected. We can't escape that.
There, Ardas, it's something we recite, and there's one line, Mata Tarta Mahat, and that means this is Mother Earth. And we have to take care of Mother Earth.
Got to do it.
And if we don't take care of Mother Earth first, then there's nothing of us, you know? So it's taking care of the skies, taking care of the earth, and we're just all part of Mother. We're all just part of Mother Earth. And as a kid, I mean, as a parent, watching Moana and all these stuff, Mother Earth, I'm like, oh God.
The movies have gotten better.
Yes,
they are much better than they were when we were kids.
Yes.
Lord. Ooh. That could be his own podcast.
Yes. But yes.
But thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you for viewing. Again, as usual, click like, share, and there's a noti bell, as somebody says, that I follow. I'm not trying to steal your line, man, but it's just funny the way you say it. But it lets you know when the next pod is going to come out. This is the first in a number of interviews that I'll be releasing over the month of May to celebrate ladies and their stories. And per usual, I want you to be well.